Today's video is sponsored by VoiceMod, basically the only audio management / soundboard / voice changer you will ever need in your life. I've been using this program for like 3 years now, and I cannot express how much this program has actually either saved my audio or allowed me to do certain impressions / voices for videos that I used to do back in the day. Not only does it have a built-in noise cancellation function, it also has a clean audio setting for microphones that are a bit excessive in volume or lack elegance and quality. For the longest time, up until about 3 days ago when I finally bought a new mic, I was using a Razer Seiren from 2016 and an Amazon Basics microphone on and off, and VoiceMod was able to bring those old mics into the current era and enhance the quality for all my videos. Even when I was doing voice impressions for videos back in the day, I owe pretty much all that credit to VoiceMod. They kept my audio clean and provided audio effects to clean my voice up and actually make it sound more realistic for certain impressions. Here are some examples of the voices I used to do back in the day.
Your crimes will not go unpunished. The sweet tones of misery. Do you know what she's done to the Horde while you've been hiding?
This is Eagle 1. We're dropping bombs down south. Merry Christmas, Hunter 2-1.
If you are interested, go ahead and check the link in the description and you can purchase VoiceMod and use code SQUIDIUS for 15% off your purchase. Thank you for listening. Go ahead and enjoy the rest of the video now. So you think Berserker is broken, huh? Alright, let's go ahead and check this out for a second. Berserkers have been one of the most irrelevant classes for a very long time. We at one point were so down bad with Musa and Maywaz, and everyone else just kind of likes to quote that Seismic saved our class, but let's just actually have a look at the class and see if Berserker really has changed over the years. Or at the very least, if people think he's broken, let's explore and see if he's actually broken. First, we need to define what broken actually means. If we take a look at Google, which is probably the most hilarious place for information, except in this case since it fits my agenda, broken means defining a character's elements or techniques that make an alternative option irrelevant by comparison. I can immediately end this video right here since the proof is in the player base. I can name a grand total of 9 Berserkers off the top of my head that are actually active within the BDO community and in competitive scenes with Node Wars and Sieges. And yeah, we could argue I don't know everyone in the BDO community, but after being in over 50 to 60 Node Wars, I have only seen one single guild with more than one Berserker. And trust me, even with that being said, the ratio between Berserkers and other classes is very, very massive. You will see a million Sages before you'll see 2 Berserkers in one place. But let's expand on why Berserkers are not seen very often. We'll start with Exhibit A. Console Berserker does not have the one thing that makes him good. Our Q buff is absolutely terrible and gimped on console for whatever reason, and that is our main source of Node War presence. Without it, we really don't have much else in our kit that allows us to be effective in Node Wars. On PC, you'll see Q buff spam a lot and people will complain about it and they'll say it's crazy or that it's just really broken, but it's what makes our class unique. It's what makes our class decent. Without it, we actually don't have anything else. On PC, the Q buff is much faster, the animation plays out like it's supposed to, and overall, it just gets the job done for Berserker. Without this Q buff, we really don't have much else in our kit that allows us to be effective. If we take a look at console, which I'll put a link in the description to Proteus's channel, and you guys can check this out, but he does a side-by-side comparison on how this actually looks, and good lord, it's awful. Our Q buff is so much slower, it's not nearly as effective as it should be, and yeah, it just kind of makes us really worthless. I mean, sure, we can use it, it does a good bit of damage, and it can cause some CCs, but overall, it really is super unreliable in most scenarios, and it's kind of a coin toss whether or not it'll work. So with that being said, if we take a look at other classes with iframes and massive protected moves, we have a scuffed Q buff that basically doesn't work as intended, while everyone else has actual moves that work properly and aren't gimped all to hell. This relegates our class, or just Berserkers in general, to a 2-minute class with no actual presence up until we have Q buff again. Sure, we can go ahead and use Seismic and throw a core ground lifting, and sure, like this guy says, we have a protected engage and do a lot of damage with Seismic, but let's correct this misconception because one, Seismic does not one-shot, especially at a high level. This is a 353 DP evasion Corsair, and sure, I do a lot of damage to him, but I mean, it's a Corsair. He's squishy. He's supposed to take a lot of damage. He's not a tank class. If this was a warrior, or a striker, I would barely half health them. And keep in mind, I have 292 AP. I can't even one-shot a squishy class, just to put things in perspective. So yeah, Seismic does not one-shot. If you have absolutely no gear and you're wearing maybe Tet armors and you're at like 296 DP, yeah, I'll probably one-shot you. But outside of that, you're gonna be fine. Especially if you're rotating protection, super armor, forward guard, iframes, etc. You will most likely survive my Seismic Blast or my broken move that one-shots. Now to correct another misconception, our protected engage. I will partially take blame for this since I did say in a video that we have a protected engage, but it's a mistake on my end since I did not specify what exactly I meant. Our engage is protected via super armor, forward guard, super armor, iframe. That is our engage, disengage. So when we engage, our super armors are not protected against grabs. Not to mention, we are not fully protected against damage. Your two options are 1, grab me, or 2, blow me up with heavy damage. Another thing to point out is our core ground lifting, which I do use quite often, even though it has a massive gap, but that is the issue. It has a gap that you can exploit as well. So even though we go from SA to forward guard, during the second SA, it has a gap that you can exploit. So even outside of our super armors and forward guards, you can still exploit us without even having to use a grab. You can still knock us with core ground lifting. This is why most Zerkers don't even touch core ground lifting because they think it's not worth it. I don't necessarily agree with that. I use it very often and it works. And of course, in my area, I'm in the lower end of the spectrum with Node Wars doing T2s for the most part. If it works for now, it'll work. If it doesn't work later, I'll just swap it around. But as of right now, not a lot of people know how to exploit the ground lift gap, so it's not really that big a deal for me. And notice how we don't have any iframes for an engage. We literally don't have much of anything. So if you're not smart enough to grab me or blow me up or focus me, that is pretty much your fault. So interestingly enough, this person, when I was doing the partner podcast, liked to reference my Node War against Magoria Pirates, which was my montage that I put together. And I think the ratio of kills was 65, and I only died, I think 14, 20 times, something like that. So it was a pretty good ratio. But the thing that the person took away from the video, rather than just understanding what was really going on, is that I was killing a lot of people, which I was getting a lot of kills, but that's not because Zerker's broken or anything, or because I'm so good. That's the lack of competence on Magoria Pirates' end. And I'm not trying to take shots at Magoria or anything like that. Not that I give a fuck anyway, but to put things into perspective, let's watch a clip and explain what went wrong here. If we take a look here, Magoria Pirates are completely oblivious to my entire presence and lets me get away with a Q buff spam, which doesn't even work properly, mind you. So I shoot much slower, so they had ample time to actually turn, deal with me, and get me out of there, so that way I didn't do what I did. And you can even see that this striker just walked right past me and paid no attention to me whatsoever. I literally didn't even know that this guy was there. He could have gotten an easy grab and killed me, or at the very least made me V and waste my Q buff timer and stop my barrage. But instead, he walked right past me and let his ball get murdered. Nothing I did was broken. I only exploited Magoria's lack of awareness and took advantage of a situation that most people probably should if you're in Node Wars. Moving on to Exhibit B, our lack of accuracy. Zerkers have basically no accuracy at all. This is why we have 2 moves that we throw into a combo for us to hit even remotely hard. When we grab in 1v1s, you will often see us throw a move called Stormy Beast right after the grab. The reason we do this is because it gives us an accuracy buff, which can be used to hit evasion classes a lot harder since they're going to dodge a lot of our damage. However, if the evasion is ridiculously high, we have to use Headbutt on top of Storming Beast because it also has accuracy and we can double stack those, and we hit pretty damn hard in a 1v1 scenario if all the stars align and we can get a grab and get the full CC going. This is where we get a bad rap because people will say, oh, well, you're just a bot, grabber or whatever, grab bot, whatever you want to call it. But what people don't understand is we actually don't have any choice. Our class is physically designed around grabs. We are literally designed around it. We have no accuracy, and there's no way to really apply accuracy to our moves without a grab. Sure, Storming Beast does have a stun if we land it after Lava Piercer, But the issue with that strategy is it's unprotected, so it's a gamble whether or not it'll hit. And if we factor in adamantines in the boots, yeah, Storming Beast doesn't look very reliable whatsoever. So immediately this option is dead on arrival. So we're just constantly gambling on our non-grab CCs if they will even remotely work. Meanwhile, Hashashin has a super armored mobility move that also knocks and can go around forward guards to add insult to injury. So yeah, but no, it's fine. Go ahead and complain about Berserker. It's fine. With that being said, I hope you understand why our class barely works in Node Wars, but in case you didn't, we cannot grab at all in large scale. We cannot, which means we cannot apply our accuracy buffs, meaning if you are an evasion class with incredibly high evasion, I will miss literally everything and become useless in the node war. I shouldn't say I'll become useless because you are only one person, but if there are a lot of evasion characters or people that have a high, frag rate or high priority targets in node wars, I will have a hard time dealing with them, which sucks. And keep in mind, we are not even factoring in guild buffs or guilds with shy buffs that can even debuff evasion and accuracy. Like, holy shit, that at that point I can't even do anything. Berserkers are actually a 2-minute class in Node Wars, and the only reason me and other Berserkers get high kill ratios and top frag is because we have been playing this class for over, X amount of years, and much like Musa and Meiwa players, we refuse to be stuck in this meta hell where we sit and wait to be useful or reroll to another class that will be, far better. Even though I have my Hashashin tagged, I'm still playing the Berserker way more than I am the Hash. Nobody likes to sit there and play a class that is based around one singular linear playstyle. Nobody wants to do that, especially Musa and Meiwa's. Their whole, bad reputation comes from players that just quote unquote run away, but they have to. Their class is physically designed around running away because PA made a massive design flaw with the Musa and Meiwa's. If they get slowed by any degree, they become utterly useless and their kit falls apart. They physically have no way to actually get around slows. They have no way to really open you up. If you're a block class, like just Musa Meiwa's in general, don't have the tools that other characters have. This is the absolute definition of being irrelevant from other options. Every other character in the game, including Berserkers, have 10 times more options than Musa and Meiwa's. They are so irrelevant that they cannot even physically play the game properly. And again, this just comes to a bad design on a character. PA didn't put much thought into this class whatsoever. They didn't even remotely think about how they would play in Node Wars. They didn't think how they would, fare up in newer classes, etc. They just honestly fell apart since they were implemented into the game. And as they progressed in time, they just aged so poorly, and there's just no physical way to bring them back into the game at the moment until a rework happens, which hopefully this upcoming one will actually change how that works. But if you're one of those people that thinks Berserkers are grab bots or Musa and Meiwa's just run away for fun, that's just not how it is. If you're gonna get mad at anybody, get mad at the design team for PA, because they're the ones that designed this very linear play style and didn't really think about the age of the class and how it would stand up in the future. If you compare classes like Musa, Meiwa, and Berserkers to a class, like Nova or Hashashin, the tools and kits are so vastly different. There's hardly any similarities whatsoever. Hashashin has iframes, reknocks, CCs out the ass, great protections. He's just a very versatile class. And you look at something like Musa or Meiwa and Berserkers, the versatility is just non-existent. There's nothing there. Musa and Meiwa's, they go fast. They go fast. That's it. That's all they do. They just go fucking fast. Berserkers, I don't know what we do. I don't know what we have. I really don't. If you know what we have, you let me know. By no means am I gonna say Berserker is bottom tier garbage, because those titles go to Musa and Meiwa, but he is definitely not broken nor good, especially in the state of the meta that is BDO right now. It really just really isn't good. Honestly, if you're losing to a Berserker, it's just because you don't understand or you're uneducated in the class. It's just kind of what it is. But anyway, that's kind of it for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Yeah, she knows I'm the one. Yeah, she knows I don't need no